Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. Trey, I want to tell you something. It is less than a month away from the 20th annual Remember the 10 run, commemorating the lives of 10 men who died in a plane crash in January 27, 2001. It is a cause that I am a huge supporter of. Of course, I was born into it. My dad's the founder of the run. I make no qualms about that. In fact, I think it's one of the best things my dad's ever done, except for, of course, having me as his son. So I would say if you can come out and join us on Saturday, April 18th. First run will start off right at 8 a.m. or a little bit after. I forget exactly. There's a 1 mile fun run, 5K, and a 10K. Everyone gets a medal. Everyone gets a shirt, and you get a shirt even if you volunteer. So go remember the 10 run. Remember the 10.com. Also, we're going to talk through the Oklahoma State men's basketball season ending with a 26-point blowout at home to Wichita State in NIT. 3 wrestling freshmen are national champions. First time since 1947 that there's been one, let alone 3. Hoyt and the Cowgirls are hot. So we're going to talk about that a little bit here. Perfect Ruby Meylan was perfect in a 10-0 shutout game against BYU, but she had a perfect game here on Friday. And both of the spring sports here that are outdoors, baseball and softball, went 2-3 over the weekend. And then we are drafting our own heroes of the decade. So, I don't know, Trey. I will have to see who you got because I know what I do. And I think I got a trivia question again.
The CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Glen Alexander.
Hey, Cowboy fans. Today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow poke helping you protect what matters most. All right, well, welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. Trey, how's it going, man?
Oh, we finally have ended our misery with the basketball season, right? Even though March Madness is going crazy right now, finally got entertaining,
Oh, yeah, we've got those true Cinderellas like Texas, the 11th seed, coming in here and just wrecking everything in the brackets. I mean, it's just the high point game I picked correctly in a couple pools. And that was kind of it, honestly. The rest has been mostly chalk.
The one St. Louis game, I know that one I picked right.
There we go. All right, well, yeah, the men's basketball season ended last night. 26-point blowout to Wichita State. Got to be honest, Dad was like, "Hey, 5 minutes left. Hey, can we watch something else?" I was like, "All right, fine. I'll watch the rest myself today, just as punishment for really the prediction I had earlier on the season of us making the tournament." I was like, "Hey, if I'm going to say we're going to make the tournament, I got to sit through every game here and see how wrong I was." Because, to be honest, the season was just really, I don't want to say it was up and down, because it was up for a little bit, and then it was down for a lot. And, of course, the fall injury doesn't help out at all. I don't think Fala being healthy for the last couple of games would have meant that we went to the tourney, although I do think it's close, just because I think there's a chance that Fala being healthy means we beat Houston at home, and then all of a sudden we're having a different conversation here today.
Yeah, and then tournament too.
Yeah, we needed that one more win. We needed, we also just really could have hopefully had BYU win like another game or 6 in the tourney, and then kind of felt better that we beat BYU this season at least. But
BYU didn't show up in the tournament either, so it didn't make us feel great.
He did give everyone the blueprint. Hey,
That's
just
true.
let AJ DeMonta go crazy and go off for 35 like he did against us, and the rest of the team just won't be able to figure it all out after they had the injury earlier on. I do want to ask you, though, with the season being over, is this a disappointing season in your eyes overall? And if so, by how much?
If I'm going to give it like 1 out of 10, with 10 being the best and 1 being the worst, I'm going to give it probably a 6, because whenever I first started up the season, I was like, oh, this is like a 7 or 8 season, But as we finally got into the Big 12 play and actually played more people in our league / higher caliber opponents, then it kind of started going downhill real fast. I know obviously we had injuries. the biggest thing to me this season was like just the team cohesion just never really happened. And I don't know if that's just because of people just getting sick and getting hurt and all that different stuff. I don't know if it's just a combo of all that where we just never had a consistent lineup on the court, or that's just our coach. So I just don't know which way I want to go about that. So start of the season, I was like a 7 or 8. About whenever we got halfway through the Big 12s, I was like, ooh. And then once we started towards like the last 5-10 games or so, like whenever we're like, we need to win all these out, like we can easily win this one, we can easily win this one, then we didn't. Then it went down to a 6. So I am happy how we started off. I just feel like we just needed to have a little bit more competition to begin with, because like think about it, Texas A&M, they did pretty well this season, and we beat them early on. Northwestern, they didn't make it to the tournament that I'm aware of. So, I mean, OU didn't make it to the tournament. So that was like, those are like our 3 kind of big games before the season started. And at least 2 out of the 3 didn't make it to the tournament. So overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Do I have my expectations next year? I really, really hope that we make it to the tournament. Yes, that's probably going to be like a 10 out of 10. We got to make it to the tournament, or we got to look at the coach type of thing.
I don't want to say next year is a make it or break it season in my eyes, as far as like, hey, if we don't make it to the tournament, let's got to go. I want to say it's more of a make it or break it in how long this rebuild or reload or whatever you want to say is going to take. Because I like Lutz a lot as a coach. In prior coaching cycles that he's been through, I mean, Western Kentucky, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, he's done really well. Like, he's gotten his team to the tournament pretty quickly, but against worse competition. So for him to come into what I think is the best conference, in basketball, and then have stretches where he goes against big, other Big 12 teams and loses 5 straight Big 12 games in a row, and has a almost 40-point blowout loss to Arizona after beating BYU at home for the first ranked win of the season. It doesn't sit great. And I don't think Lutz would disagree on that at all. The loss at Colorado, 83-69 on February 21st. That one's
very questionable now looking back at it.
Tough loss, because we beat him in the tournament by 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now parts of follow. I mean, so there's some stuff here where I'm like, oh man, you know what? Just what happened? The overtime loss against TCU, the loss to Arizona State. I mean, I get we've been doing the podcast now for several months, both of us continuously here, with you as my guest, and it's been great. But like, it seems as though that OU game, that Bedlam game, was like the first chip. I had tweeted about this last night. The first chip in the paint, the first chip in the windshield or whatever, of like, if Parsifal is not available, he played 10 minutes in that game, had a lower back issue, an injury, and then was on the bike trying to get his back to feel better. He played 10 minutes, he had 0 points on 2 shots, and didn't see the court in the second half at all. That was the first game where I was like, hey, this Christian Coleman guy could be pretty good. Give him more time and energy and effort and stuff like that, especially as power forward, because he just doesn't shoot threes. And then that was the first one where it's like, okay, maybe it's just seeing that coming. But, looking down the schedule here, like a loss to Tech, okay, a loss to Iowa State, all right. Lost to Baylor at home, okay. Hate that one. That was the first bad loss, right?
Yeah, for sure. Especially how Baylor ended up this season.
Yeah, and then we bounce back. We beat K-State. I'm not going to walk through every single game here, but like that 5-game stretch here of the Arizona to Colorado games, stretch where he flews 5 in a row in February. That's just what did us in. I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees. Can't lose to Arizona State and TCU and Colorado during that stretch. You just can't lose to all 3 of those. You can lose to Kansas. You can lose to Arizona. But, man, you just can't lose the other ones. And that was kind of the whole season. I'm disappointed, to say the least. Like, this entire season, I was going, man, we have a really undersized guards. We have really Jalen Curry and Kanye Clary are undersized guards. And then last night, Kenyon Giles just lights us up, plays 38 minutes, almost the entire game, and has 28 points. He ended up being 2 of 8 from 2. but 8 of 16 from 3. Go figure.
Jesus, yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, the kid was just incredible. I'm saying kid because I'm now 32, so I'm now a decade older than some of these guys. And I just got to say, like, that was the one where I was going, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, 27% of their just point percentage wise. Let's just show exactly what that means, because of course they had Dylan Battle also 29% here from Ken Baum, but he only scored 12. So go figure. I'm sure someone will let me know how that's wrong or what I said wrong and incorrectly here. Last night's game was the worst we played all season, in my opinion.
I don't know. That Arizona game was pretty bad too, where we lost by 40. That was a away game, though.
Team. Yeah, this is an NIT team. I mean, hey, 47 points, real bad. Like,
yeah,
you're never going to tell me it's not. This is the second highest scoring Oklahoma State team, I think, ever, from a tweet from Marshall Scott last night. So that's pretty incredible, pretty great when you think about it. But then when we're really going in depth with it, yeah, we had a 47-point game at one point this season, and we still had the second highest points per game in the season ever. So it's a tough look for Lutz going into year 3. He gets to bring in recruits this next year.
Especially at one point, that's the saddest part about that Wichita State game is, like, we were tied at the second half, and then with 16 minutes left, and then we just blew it. So that just tells me the coach wasn't paying attention to the pacing of the game, wasn't trying to call timeouts here and there, trying to get everybody in line. So it's just like, I don't know if he was just like, all right, I'm ready to be done with the season or not. That's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, to me, this was several points during the game. I was going, oh, legitimately, Kanye Clary and Christian Coleman had, they finished the night with 41 total points. And there were several points during the game where I was like, oh, they have all of the points in the game except for like 10. Oh, they have all the points. And it just was one of those where we were just really stuck in the mud. Offensively, we'd go down. Anthony Roy, this is a case and a scenario where going forward, this is a lesson for all Oklahoma State transfer portal fans or all transfer portal fans. If a guy has played at a new college every year he's been in college for 6+ years,
not good.
Maybe a reason why he's not sticking around. It may not be because he's just on a straight up trajectory. Because he if you look at it one way and you want to slice the pie this way and go, man, that's a big slice of a great looking pie. You go, he just keeps playing better and better. And more and more chances he gets. He was at Langston. He was at Mexico State. He was at Green Bay. And then he got injured 11 games into the season. He just keeps playing tougher and tougher opponents and keeps scoring more and more. Maybe he's just going to blossom when he gets to Oklahoma State. And he's going to be the shot maker and the big time guy. And for a couple of games, he was. He put up almost 30 against BYU. He was that guy. We needed him in certain games. But last night is one of those where I'm going, yeah, I mean, you were 2 of 5 from 2 and 1 of 6 from 3. And several of those 3-point attempts were long threes with long rebounds, easy fast breaks for Wichita State. Easy transition buckets for them going back and forth. And we played our 2 freshman centers, Mekhi Regland and Ben Ahmed, a total of 30 minutes total. 30 minutes total. So it's just we could have used Paula last night.
Yeah,
we
could have.
They had the American 6th Man of the Year on their team. Going up against last night. Who's number 44, Will Burke, who's 7'2". We needed size. We needed to get some boards. I really wish last night's game had gone a little bit differently, but also, oh well. I mean, there's not. If Vukovic plays, I think we contend a little bit better. But the weirdness of last night's game is that it was such a big blowout. When you're right, we were tied in the second half. We're tied with like 14 minutes left, I think, and then they still put up 26 more. Yeah, that's the real. They scored 33 in the final 10 minutes. We scored 17.
Yikes.
Thanks. Well, who do you want to keep on this team? Who's one guy you're like, hey, you know what? He played great this season. I want him coming back no matter what, if he can.
Man.
Well, not if he can, just
right.
Back, because Christian Coleman would be the easy crowd favorite, especially after his glowing words about Steve Lutz changing his mental ideology of playing basketball
for sure.
But yeah,
there's not a lot to choose from, to be honest with you, that we actually got to see on the court. I would say probably the best one out of everybody, for at least for me, is going to be Victorious Miller. Just because, at least for me, he's the one that, like, yes, he didn't play the most minutes every single time, but he at least played 32 games, averaged about 25 minutes per game. And, I mean, he wasn't the worst, he wasn't the best, but you know what? He at least improved significantly whenever from his last season from LSU. He did pretty well, in my opinion. Could he have done better? Absolutely. But I just think that was just the team in general. There was just no meshing really involved. So that's my kind of forte on that. He at least, at least added 5 more minutes than what he did at LSU, and he made an impact each one of those minutes. Now, was he the best at everything? No. But, his free throw percentages got better. His overall field goal percentages went down by 3%, but his three-pointer percentages went up by 7-ish percent. And this is all stats from ESPN. So I feel like he's probably the one that I would like to keep back next season. Who knows if that's going to be happening, but that's my pick. What about you?
I gotta say, I'd love to have Kanye Clary back next year. I'd love to have some guards that when they get in tough situations just end up playing halfway decent. I do feel like in spots here and there, Miller was just checked out.
Right.
Especially last night when they were extending the lead. Clary, he's just able to put up a lot of points, and he played in 34 games this season, started 31. His minute usage is pretty high. He's an undersized guard because he's 6 foot, but he's not that undersized.
Right.
And he just seems like he has more finishing abilities than Jalen Curry. If I'm comparing him against other guys, like Isaiah Coleman averaged, I think, 16.5 or 17 points a game for UMass last year and was just killing it. And then comes out this season and he's not starting every game. He started, I think, 5 games this season. Just bizarre. So I'm okay. And Claire also be a senior next year. Get a little more experience when we have some of these freshman recruits in that are 4 and 5 stars. And that to me would mean a lot. Of course, Vukovic, Ben Ahmed, Mikhail Ragland would love to have them back just because we need that depth, and size to play some of these Big 12 teams. But then again, Ragland barely played this season. He played fewer than 10% of the team's minutes this whole year. And fingers crossed we get Robert Jennings back for another year. So I'm not including him just because I'm not 100% certain.
Right.
With the medical red shirt where he decides to go next year, but we did wish him a senior day. So
sounds like
he could be gone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gotta talk to you about the 3 freshmen here.
Hey, the good news for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We started off with what immediately happened, but the 3 freshmen here. Of the 3, Sergio Vega to me was the guy who deserves a lot more credit and praise, because we all heard the Jax Forrest stories now.
Yeah.
And Jax Forrest is 19. I'm not saying, hey, he wasn't in high school, he didn't, whatever, he couldn't be going to pro. He's the same age as the guy he wrestled. So the high school stuff is true.
Right.
While being true, it is also not as drastically impressive. It is still insanely impressive. I don't want to take away from it, so maybe I should stop talking. But the Jax Forrest was great, of course, and then but Sergio Vega, that was the guy.
Oh yeah,
that was the guy for me.
I was super proud of all 4 of the guys. I wish we could have gotten the sweep for the 4 guys, but it was close. But Jax's hair, we need to dye his hair back to his normal color, because that bleach blonde, woo, it is bright, that's for sure. But it was really entertaining to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but it's also historical, not just 1, not just 2, but 3 freshmen where they're doing phenomenal. And it's been till 57 or something like that was what they kept saying.
1947 is the last time.
So that's huge. So that just makes our roster like next year and the next 3 years going to be very impressive. And, we were second against Penn State, but I feel like that margin was a lot closer this year than the previous years. Granted, I know Penn State technically got the most points that the event's ever had, but I feel like we're coming up real fast. And I saw a lot of people, at least from what I saw like on social media, like watch out for OSU because they're probably coming next year for the championship.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Landon Robidoux. I always say it the wrong way the first time. He also won, of course. We have mentioned his name. And the Michael Myers memes and stuff. I had our old intern buddy. I think you guys didn't overlap, but of course I overlapped with everyone in my multiple years at Oklahoma State. Is Detrick. And Detrick, I'm worker, he does all the Oklahoma State athletics, and just doing all the wrestling hype and all that type of stuff. It's great how they played into that. It's so great. Seeing like the clips and stuff from fans at baseball and softball games, getting excited and getting energized by the win. Really at baseball. I think the softball game is over by then. By the wrestling win, seeing Michael Myers masks in the baseball stands as we're wrestling, that's phenomenal. And then of course Connor Doucette, like that is an incredible story. He sits behind Wyatt Hendrickson last year and then comes back to wrestle and then of course wins it all again too. Like just incredible. And we had the most amount of points ever for a second place team. So to me, this wrestling has the biggest upside in this NIL class of just moving everyone up. It's just gonna be so concentrated at the top. You're gonna have 1, 2, I think 3 is Nebraska this year. Just all these 3 or 4 teams are gonna be super teams, and you're gonna have less of these. I remember when AJ Ferrari wrestled for Cal State Bakersfield. I don't know
right.
Bakersfield finished that year, but I'm just saying I think you're going to have less and less of these like one-off where it's okay. We got an Ohio State wrestler going up against Jax. Like I just think it's going to be more and more. Just every single wrestler in the finals is going to be either 3 or 4 different schools. Of course, Ohio State's got an incredible wrestling program as well too.
Right,
but it's going to be Penn State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio State, et cetera. It's just not going to be. I'm sure there's like 6 schools I'm forgetting here to round it out the top 10, but you know what I mean? Right.
It's going to be a very, very like Penn State. I feel like it's going to be more Penn State, Oklahoma State. I'm pulling a U now. Penn State, OSU final. I feel like that's what's going to happen a lot with these classes because they're going to have some returning people too. I know ours are freshmen, so it's going to be real entertaining. And then I hope we can take them down next year. That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, also got to get to here. Jaycie Hoyt and the Cowgirls won their first matchup against Princeton kind of comfortably, honestly.
Pretty comfortably, yeah.
I would really love I know the men's tournament this year was like the first round was hosted in Oklahoma City. Well, but it was hosted in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Whereas women's tournaments are hosted like on the college campus sites. I just think that's
weird. They used to be.
I love it, honestly.
Really?
Because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Kansas, if you're Arizona, if you're not Kansas, but Kansas in years past. I mean, if you're a 1 overall seed or a 1 seed, hey, you got to come to us to play. Like that's a huge strategic benefit. And you've got some of these schools here who are playing in Tampa on a Sunday night late. I mean, I forget exactly who I was watching last night. I think it was Texas Tech versus Arkansas or Alabama, I want to say. It's Tampa on a late Sunday night. Like at that point, just have it at the number 1 seed's campus if you can, or have it at the 2 seed's campus, depending on how it works out, whatever it may be. Like it would be bizarre for the number 1 overall seed, in some of these brackets to get upset or whatever. Like, can you imagine the Iowa fans just going nuts right now in Florida's campus, like just taking over? But then again, when that happens, it's pretty cool, right?
I just think that just reminds me too much of the NIT and how that's been broken down. I just remember, March Madness, you got to go to those different cities. You got to keep constantly traveling. I feel like that's what makes the brackets and making the tournament so much special, because you usually, like, yes, I know, like, it's going to be hard for some schools, but like the Vanderbilt Nebraska game, it was pretty Nebraska, but there was still some Vanderbilt people there. Granted, it's a smaller school overall compared to Nebraska, but I would say, sometimes some of these games can be pretty 50-50 depending on where the region is at and how the school travels. So that's kind of like, I would still rather have it be kind of like what the normal bracket of like host cities, just because the other way just reminds me too much of NIT vibes. Like you didn't make it.
Yeah, but I guess I should get back on point a little more and stop talking about the NCAA men's bracket when we're talking about Jaycie Hoyt and the Cowgirls. Yep. They play when we're recording this here Monday night. I generally put out the podcast after some audio editing and some of the slip ups I make here with its mental or physical error. So generally, it takes me a little bit to put this stuff together. So you're listening to this a day after we recorded. So I'm not going to go into a bunch of UCLA, Oklahoma State in-depth previews because we're not,
we're 3 hours away.
And yep. We're 3 hours away from tip off, and the podcast will not be out by then. So, you'll know who won. And I will say to all of the family I have that's big UCLA fans, my mom's side of the family, good luck. You guys are supposed to win. You're the host seed. So if you lose, you'll be hearing from me for a while. Yeah, You'll be seeing the Hoyt shirts be championed around at every family reunion, all type of stuff. I'll have some big, huge Oklahoma State Cowgirl love, just really going at it. And shout out to Cauley sending a reporter out to UCLA to go see. I saw Jaycie Hoyt shouted him out. Hopefully having him on a podcast here soon. Trying to set that up here when the Cowgirl season ends, in a couple weeks here after a national championship win, of course. So we'll see. But then of course also I feel like California is my second home. So shout out to the Cowgirls for getting out there. Pretty great deal. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about Ruby Meylan has another perfect game on the season. A month later, 1 month later, has another perfect game here. She's had so many shutouts, so many complete games here this season. Helped out a lot by that Cowgirl Bats going 10-0, getting out of Dodge early, against BYU in a Big 12 team. How do you feel about this Oklahoma State Cowgirl softball team right now?
We always need pitching. So because of that, I feel really, really good because, I feel like they're doing a lot better than, of course, men's baseball. So as long as she stays healthy and nobody can figure out how to hit off of her, I think we're going to be really dominant. Of course, it's still early on the season. People can scout, do all that type of stuff, figure out, everything about how people throw balls and everything like that. So, I feel really good about it, especially because we have two. That just means that she's also had really great defense as well, not just purely pitching. And of course, we had the bats to back it up. So it's just like, yes, it's great that we have a great pitcher overall, but it just the whole team's coming together for her. And that's really great. And then of course, whenever you make it further on down the line, whenever we're getting to tournaments and that type of stuff, we need that backing because, it can rotate pitchers. It's not as often in softball just because of how everything works out. They still will rotate here and there, but you're more likely to see the consistent same starting pitcher. So with that being said, really excited to see what happens. I feel like we could probably get another 2 probably if we continue this path. But it's still early in the season, so you never know. Injuries can happen, but everything looks good as of right now. So I'm really optimistic.
Yeah, and I got to say, if you have not been out to a Cowgirl softball game, just bleachers keep appearing at Cowgirl softball stadium.
They do.
More and more. There's now a right field on the right field foul line deck. It's put out there. Video board is just massive. And Al Haslip doing the announcing is doing an incredible job. Shout out to my youngest brother, or one of my younger brothers, who thought it was me because I went to the softball game on Thursday. And so I was still in Stillwater after work. And I got to say, it was a lot of fun. The multiple home runs, everyone's shooting out the water guns and stuff like that, going crazy. So much fun going to softball, which brings me to my next point here. Baseball almost gave me a heart attack. I went to the game Wednesday night against South Dakota State, and dad and youngest brother, and I went, and it's a walk-off win. So
a win's a win.
Lord.
Yeah.
But oh my God, that was a really rough time. Honestly, that is one of those games that makes me just really rethink how big of a fan I want to be of baseball because it was just so up and down. I want to say big shout out to Oklahoma State baseball for saving my sanity that night, because if we had not won, then the after and the post game run over to Hideaway would have really been a bummer. But yeah, I mean, baseball looks good. Baseball looks halfway decent. We've not played incredibly well.
What was the issue during that game, in your opinion? Because you were there, firsthand experience.
To be honest, it's like we got complacent. It's like
it's how we play in football almost,
and basketball, men's basketball especially too. We beat BYU and then we lose 5 straight in basketball this season. To me, this was a very bizarre game just because each team had multiple errors in it. We had 4, they had 3. I just wanted to look up to make sure. They out-hit us. They had 14 hits to our 11. Pretty bizarre. They scored 5 runs in the top of the 9th to bring it even, 11 all. And then, of course, our catcher walks it off. Like, I was not ready for that filmography moment here. We scored, comes in the bottom of the 5th inning, and we are down 5-0 at that point. And kind of looking at brother and dad and going, man, I just worked all day, hang out here at Stillwater. Great game so far, at least weather-wise, and being in Obrate's incredible, and getting some good tickets there. On the first baseline is pretty great. All right, we're down 5-0. It's the 5th. It's been a long game already so far. Like, how much longer? And then we just rattle off 10 runs in a row. I think we scored 8 of those runs or 7 of those runs with 2 outs.
Yeah.
So just
crazy.
Not a normal, you know what I mean? And then they come back and they're starting to chip into it. In the 7th, they get 1. And the 8th, we get that insurance run, right? We get that one more, put it up 11. And then, of course, the top of the 9th. I mean, I am not the baseball manager expert in the entire world. I will say I've been to the Oklahoma State Football Coaches Clinic. I've got more still little nuggets and notes here to share from that later on this season here. But why we're putting out pitchers in the top of the 9th, that I struggle with it because of this. We were up. We were up 11 to set it to oh gosh, I can't do math. We were up 11-6 going to the top of the 9th. Hey, we got the game in the bag. They've got to do so much to even just tie it up, even make it close. And then with 2 outs, they figured it out. They scored that run to tie it up, and you're just going, you gotta be kidding me! Like on a pass ball.
So we don't really have a closer. That's what I'm hearing.
I don't think so. I think Holiday was trying some stuff with some younger pitchers, because in that spot when you're up 5, you're home. It's not a conference rival. I mean, South Dakota State's 5-16 on the season right now. Like it is a surefire. Hey, we're going to win this one. Type of deal. Just which pitcher do we want to throw out there that can get 9 strikes over the plate? That's it. That's all we needed. Or at least put a couple balls in play and have your fielders kind of sorted out and stuff like that. But South Dakota State was up 5-0 in the game. So you're kind of like, okay, the whole thing's not gone perfect for us. What we're going to do, and then just. To me, it was like Holiday just kind of used the opportunities when they come to you, where you try out younger pitchers, you try to get them a little bit more experience, try to see what they can do. And it just, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because that walk-off. Because if we had to go into the 10th inning, I was not going to pick us to win that one. I mean, Campbell, Smithwick, shout out. Yeah, we're now 14-7 after that win. 10-1 at home after that win. Now we're, of course, 12-2 because we lost to Baylor this past weekend too.
Yep.
But yeah, he led off the bottom of the 9th, sending a 3-2 pitch from Austin Henry over the right field wall for his 2nd walk-off blast of the season. I mean, Brock Thompson and Smithwick and Aiden Miola all had multiple RBIs in the game. I mean, so just as our starter there, TP Wentworth, when I had Casey Porter on for Most Day Daily, he talked a lot about how good TP Wentworth is, and I think he is really good. I think he's got the chance to be really good, but he gave him 5 runs to a team that's got 5 wins on the season. That's tough.
Right.
Not the greatest confidence-inspiring moment. But listen, South Dakota State is not the easiest team ever to play.
Right.
They're not absolutely nobodies, but they also, it's a midweek series and we swept them. So, I'm going to be happy. Moving on. All right. Well, we've got our OSU decade. So this is from 2020 on. Heroes. We each chose 3. We want to just highlight and talk about it a little bit. We each have a player and a coach at least. And I think you have a team. So I'll let you lead it off here. What you want to start with?
So I'm going to be unique, and I'm going to go the decade hero for us is for a team is Kansas. Now, hear me out. So Kansas, usually in football, we're usually going to have them for homecoming, and we usually just blow them out and have a great homecoming. Obviously, this last season doesn't really, we don't want to talk about that, but they're usually, the good team to, beat up on, and it always makes you feel great. And they're always a great hero because, it's during homecoming. So it's always a great time. And then also the reverse of that is their basketball team. So they're always, pretty good in the top 10, type of stuff like that. So usually we always try to beat them in some way, shape, or form in Gallagher Iba Arena. This year we didn't, but usually we do. So it's just like, that's why I picked Kansas because, they're always our pick-me-up team. Like, who do we need to play to always make us feel good? Kansas for you. Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want me to go list all mine off?
And I get.
Say that one more time. Sorry.
No, you're good. I get you on the Kansas front. I mean, they are the team that we're like, hey, you know what? Thank goodness we got them on the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Every year, every single year. It's like, okay, thank goodness. Well, I don't have a team. The team
That's
way is a very interesting way to go for it. Instead here, I have, I've got multiple players here. So I'm going to start off with the first player here, which is Mr. Cade Cunningham himself. I will say, I've been trying to take my dad to see Cade Cunningham in person in Oklahoma City now, I think for 3 straight years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Cade has collapsed lung due to playing in a game, so he's not playing this coming Monday here in Oklahoma City. 8:30 tip off against the Pistons, but you always go try to see the former employer as well. And that season with Cade, he plays 27 games during kind of the weird like COVID-ish season. Of course, number 1 overall pick overall, but just looking back on his stats, he really just made me go, okay, Oklahoma State basketball can be great. Like these moments we can be great. If only a couple of different things go a couple different ways, I think Eric Daly Jr., Brandon Garrison, and Mike Boyden are still all in Oklahoma State and Stillwater. I really do think that there is a revisionist history that maybe 10 years down the line, we all go, so for an FBI scandal that Brad Underwood definitely slipped out the door pretty quickly, whether he knew it was coming down or not, I'll always still think that's a little shady. Cade Cunningham could have led this team to just be incredible if the FBI scandal had not been hanging overhead. Because the guys that Boyden was recruiting at the time was Musa Cisse, 5-star, Bryce Thompson, 5-star, and Cade Cunningham, 5-star. All could have come to Oklahoma State. I do think probably Cisse and or Thompson come to Oklahoma State if there's not this FBI scandal hanging overhead.
Yeah.
So it's just what it could have, should have, of course. But like Cade averaging 20 points a game. We didn't have a guy this year do that. Mm-hmm. Win shares 4.0, beats OU, just has an incredible season, of course. He is 43% just from the field, period, which you're like, okay, not that great, but he was 40% from 3. Like he was shooting lights out from 3 as a college player. Of course, he's drafted number 1 overall. Everyone knows the whole story. But that was such a fun team to watch. That was a Big 12 tournament championship contending team. I remember going to that game with my dad and youngest brother. We drove to Kansas City. We lost, unfortunately. But like, it just was such a fun year with Cade at the helm, leading everything. And if a couple of things go a couple of different ways, I think we end up winning. So that was one of my heroes of this decade so far.
So then I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to go coaches. And so for one of my coaches, it's going to be kind of a newer coach, and that's Jaycie Hoyt. It's just because she's Hoyt. Sorry. Wow.
You're good. Even here on the side, you can see how to spell it.
Yeah, that's true. She's been great, at least putting new energy in the girls basketball group. Even winning in the tournament. It's been so long for us to win in the tournament, I feel like. So it's really nice to see everything being improved. Hopefully tonight we get a win, but I don't know. I doubt it. It's going to be really tough. But Overall, she's very down to earth. She's very, at least whenever like the students were there, she purposely called a timeout so that, kids can celebrate the 6-7 thing. So it's just like those little tiny details that she does. Like, I'm super proud of her, and I can't wait to see what else she's got going on for us. Right now, yes, I know we didn't have like the best record of 24-9, but you know what? I see us improving, being fourth in the Big 12 with a very stacked Big 12. I feel like we're going to be higher up next year if she keeps doing what she's doing. So that's who I pick as my second person of the decade.
And shout out to her recruiting. I mean, she's getting Girardi, Leah Girardi, of course, on campus, but that brings Joe Girardi into, guest announce softball a little bit here, of course. Shout out to Birdie Myers. It was his birthday recently. He did the intro for the podcast for forever, and he's a big Yankees fan. So it was Birdie's shout out, of course. Happy birthday, after belated to him. And of course, like Acott going off for 28 in round one. I mean, I didn't see that coming at all, but that's incredible. I definitely saw Stally Hurd maybe going off for that much.
Yeah.
But I am cautiously optimistic about tonight's game against UCLA. Nonetheless, here, my next player I want to talk about here is the one, the only, the guy who brought us back against Notre Dame and the huge comeback in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Of course, also the win that sent Lincoln Riley out west, young man, push women in gold. And that is Mr. Spencer Sanders himself. I think the way that the Spencer Sanders era or Spencer Sanders years came to a close was very, very indicative of how Mike Gundy is as a coach.
Yep.
Hey, if you're out, you're out.
Yep.
Can't come back. I've heard so many different rumors of what happened there that I still don't feel great talking about it openly, to be honest, of like he tried to transfer out, but it was to one school and that one school wouldn't accept him because of the, degree he was working towards. He didn't meet the minimum requirements or whatever. None of it seems real accurate or real workable in this day and age in college football.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep going on to it. I just want to say Spencer Sanders leaving for Ole Miss, bizarre.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there. But we're talking about a guy who, in Oklahoma State's history, do you want to take a guess here? And here's your trivia question, Trey.
Oh, early.
Well, I'm trying to do them during the podcast here.
I see.
Let's clip this one for sure. Trey, do you want to take a guess here? All time, what Spencer Sanders ranks in passing yardage in Oklahoma State history?
Is he third?
He's top 5. I'll give you in. He's top 5.
I'm saying third. Is he higher than that?
Yep.
Really? He passed Whedon?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I did not know that. So is he 2?
Yeah, he's 2. In total yards. Now, granted, he's got now in total yards, right? Not. I mean, Brandon Whedon's completion percentage is 69.5% back in from 2008 to 2011. That's incredible.
Ridiculous. Well, you just throw it up to Blackman. There you go. Touchdown.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. His interception rate, Sanders' interception rate is 3.2%. Like, there are definitely different stats that I can tell you about where he goes, yeah, Sanders not that great, but he beats OU in a 2021 season.
Right.
Brings us back in the Fiesta Bowl to win that one too. Just incredible like memories that you have watching Oklahoma State football. Sanders has a couple of those games. He just does. He has a comeback against West Virginia where we shouldn't have won, but he ends up catching the touchdown pass from Jaden Nixon, in that game. So he's just got a couple of those. He does have the of the top 5 quarterbacks here. He played in the second most amount of games, but we're literally just splitting hairs here because he played in 43 games. Rudolph played in 42. Robinson played in 45. He's 4th on the list. Gundy played in 42. He's 5th on the list. And Whedon played in 30. So if you're going, wait, what a second? Yeah, Brandon Whedon played in 13 less games than Spencer Sanders and threw for a total of 300 less yards in 13 less games. So if Whedon had played one more year or whatever, he definitely wouldn't be number 1. And Rudolph playing in 42 games, and also that being much, much more of the let's air this sucker out, right?
Right.
And Rudolph was never going to run the ball, never going to run the option. I mean, Rudolph.
No. Every
Love or hate him.
if he's running, there's something wrong with the play.
I mean, if you want to talk the ultimate, like, hey, toss it in the air and the guy runs under it, Rudolph to Whedon, Rudolph to Washington, another
was
W,
great.
Was incredible. So that's my second guy. What about you?
So finally, for my third one, I've been kind of like going all over the place, and I know this sounds awful, but a recency bias because 2020 and onwards. So because of that logic, it goes till 2030. And with that, I'm going to go with Jack Forrest, just because he is a freshman and he is phenomenal. Once again, his haircut needs to probably change, but I'm sure he'll grow
You're
up.
really harping on the 19-year-old's hair decisions here.
Oh,
And I gotta say, he probably is also talking smack about your haircut.
Probably.
I mean, the 19-year-old national championship guy with the bleach blonde hair, he can do whatever he wants to with his hair. He's feeling it. He can shave his head completely bald. He can grow out a full mole. He can do whatever. He's won national championships at 19. Shout out to Jax. We're all fully on board. Whatever you want to do hair-wise, man. Dye it orange for all I care. There's probably not soon or red, right? Just stay away from that.
Yeah, just stay away from that. But other than that, like, he's been really great in all of his matches. He's, this whole entire class has been great, but he's kind of been like the poster boy for everybody. Just how well he's handled everything, considering he's 19 and everything like that. And so that's who I pick for my last one. I know it's a little early on the decades for him, but you know what? I feel like he's going to be the guy that's going to push us over Penn State. So that's why I picked him. And I've also kind of picked sports that were our traditional ones, like of basketball and football.
Fair. I'd say you're doing a good job with that. And so just to piggyback off you a little bit here, but really just to kind of talk it through at the end of the day. When I'm talking about Spencer Sanders, he was at Oklahoma State for a little bit, right? But he ended his Oklahoma State time and then end of the 2021 season. Like, how weird is it to win a Fiesta Bowl and then just be done? I mean, just deuces. Next up we got Alan Bowman under center. It's just bizarre the way it all ends. I mean, revisionist history, and we'll be looking back and be like, where's the decade? I don't know if Sanders will still be up there or not. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my third and final, I'm going to go with the coach. I'm also going to go very short-term year, but one of Chad Weiberg's other great hires, except for Jaycie Hoyt, and that, of course, is Mr. David Taylor, the Magic Man himself. I mean, should I just keep going or should I stop at some point? His first year, we secured a 13-1 dual meet record, clinched Big 12 conference with one Big 12 individual champion. So we won the Big 12 conference with one Big 12 individual champion and finished third in the national championship with 6 All-Americans and 2 individual champions. And then we let off the podcast with all the other incredible things that he's done. I mean, Cody Merrill, runner-up. We didn't mention him, yet. He came in second. I know you said, whichever one. Also, while attracting all of these guys to Oklahoma State. I mean, the Wyatt Hendrickson win deserved its own podcast. I did that last year. Literally. Almost a year ago. I mean, over Gable Stevenson. Like, that was incredible.
Most viral moment for wrestling, I'm sure, for a bit.
Oh, since I don't know when. Yeah, I mean, just incredible stuff here. So, and then also the man himself here, if you go to his Wikipedia page, he's winning everything all the time. He is gold at 2024 U.S. World Team Trials. He's bronze at the World Championships. He's silver in the 2024 U.S. Olympic Team Trials. He's gold in the 23 World Championships and the World Team Trials in 23. 22, he's gold. And the World Championships and the U.S. World Team Trials. 2020 Summer Olympics, he's gold. I mean, 2021 Pan American Championships, he's gold. 2020 U.S. Olympic Team Trials. I can just keep going. David Taylor, Magic Man himself, has got it going. He's getting shouts out from previous Penn State guys or current Penn State guys, depending on how you want to say him. Micah Parsons all over social media. He's getting the Barstool guys and Big Cat to tweet out about us and stuff. But Jax is incredible. Jax is huge. Jax is insane. So, and you know what? He adds something to the Oklahoma State program that I wasn't sure was possible for wrestling.
Yeah.
He adds a style of wrestling that is incredible to watch as just a passive viewer. It's a passive viewer. Oh, I don't need to know a ton about wrestling. I don't need to know a ton about shooting. I don't need to know a ton about really anything. just to go, man, this is a lot of fun to watch. Like the style of wrestling, most of his wrestlers do. I will say a couple guys differently. Connor Doucette as a heavyweight is not going to be attacking and not be shooting the same way Jack Forrest is.
That's true.
It's one heck of an incredible thing to watch. So, any other final thoughts here as we wrap this one up?
I know we're kind of a little recency bias on these decades, but you know what? It's hard to. I feel like we'll do more later decades, but you know, it's been hopeful and positive. That's what we're kind of leading off. Basically, is the moral of the story is like we're going up in the right directions in multiple different sports. So that's always great to hear.
And hey, football. 2 years are quickly erased with a great year bounce.
Oh yeah,
like there's such a
Eric Morris is the star right now.
Yeah, such an excitement of the program. We're not mentioning guys who haven't played yet. I'm not mentioning Drew Messina because he hasn't played a snap yet. I'm not mentioning Alan Bowman for a 2023 Bedlam win because after that was it. In the day, it was incredible. It was amazing, but like it was all that because it was the last Bedlam win. So, anyways, I'm giving Spencer Sanders his props. I think looking back here, a decade removed from it, we'll be big Spencer Sanders fans a little bit more. It'll be like, oh man, remember those years? Those were incredible. And hopefully he's back on staff or something. But anyways, Trey, thanks so much for joining. Latest episode of the CGA Tour podcast. If you're not already, please make sure you're following and you send us some questions to the next podcast at the CGA Tour on X, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram, as well as wherever you listen to podcasts. Go Pokes!
Hey Cowboy fans, today's episode is brought to you by Oakley Burklow, your go-to independent insurance agent and proud OSU alum. Oakley helps with home, auto, life, and business insurance, working with multiple top-rated insurance companies to find you the right coverage at the right price. Licensed in Oklahoma and Arkansas. Call 918-280-9068 or email oakley.burklow@connectmyinsurance.com. Personal service, honest advice, and a fellow poke helping you protect what matters.